This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hey Turkaholics, welcome back to Football a la Turca for matchday 25 of the 2019-2020 Super League. My name is Kaan Bayazet, and joining me at our virtual table of conversation is the man of the law, Burak Sezgin, who returns from his absence, our very own Chicago Bull, Özer Dincer, who also returns from his absence, and of course, Jakub Marofolu to enlighten us with the latest Laz news. The latest news in the Trabzon world of football. I'm rambling. Anyway, Umut isn't here. He has an exam on Wednesday, so he isn't joining us. But you'll have to do with the four of us then, which is balanced. Not two Galatasaray fans for once. Hey, Burak.
Well, it's good to be back, and yeah, no one likes having two Galatasaray fans on a podcast. Come on.
Yeah, we can barely stand one, let alone two.
Well, I think it's just it's a fair representation of the popularity of the clubs. To have two on the table is always, it makes sense.
It's true. Bandwagons tend to attract a lot of people.
Fleas.
Or a pile of shit attracts a lot of flies. Okay, that's...
Hey!
Sorry. That's going a little bit too far.
We're going to lose listeners if you
Yes,
carry
we are. Maybe I should bleep myself. How have you guys been? You've been gone for a week. You weren't on last week. How are the two of you doing?
I'll let Özer go first.
Well, yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm currently... I'm actually working from home today because we've been recommended to self-isolate for a week to try to stop the spread of coronavirus, which is a bit ridiculous. But travel to the office is banned. Travel between offices is banned. So I'm sitting pretty with my feet up, watching the world go by, or maybe watching the world burn. Is probably the right way to put it.
What about you, Burak? Are you sitting at home for the coronavirus?
Well, I'm at home, but I was in Prague last week after they had announced 3 cases of coronavirus. So I thought, why not jump on a plane to one of the beautiful cities of Eastern Europe, smoke a lot of shisha, walk around lots of touristy areas such as the St. Charles Bridge and the Prague Castle, eat lots of food, shake everyone's hand to say hello, to try and buck the trend of this ridiculous hysteria that seems to be going around. And I just made sure that I had some hand sanitizer on me at all times. And I just continued with my regular routine of washing my hands, as every normal human being should do.
And apparently as the entire population of Turkey is doing too, since no official cases yet.
Indeed. Believe that if you will.
Indeed.
What about you, Jakub? How's Rotterdam doing? Has the epidemic hit there yet?
I mean, the Dutch are the way they are. They supposedly don't wash their hands at all, which I tend to agree with. And, I went to the supermarket today and it was so unbelievably busy. And people are, buying all the stuff like flour, salt, just in case they might be... Just in case they might be stuck at home, so they can make bread and stuff. I think it's way too panicky by everyone. But what am I to say?
Yeah, it almost seems that the Black Plague is making its return.
What about Belgium, Carl? What's the deal there? Are people stockpiling hand sanitizer and tampons?
I don't think so, actually. No, I don't think so. Kim went to the supermarket today. She didn't make any mention of it. of course, she works in a hospital, so in the lab even. So they're doing like the coronavirus tests to check if the samples, if the patients have any coronavirus. But they had a memo sent around that they are not allowed to communicate to the outside world. So I'm not going to spill the beans on the details there. But yeah, no. I have a feeling that the hysteria in Belgium is still relatively okay. That there's, I don't know. I haven't had the sense that people are going crazy. But I do come outside every day, but I don't communicate much with randoms.
Yeah, don't talk to anyone. Don't touch anyone.
Yeah.
Don't shake their hand as well, just randomly, like I was doing.
Just kick them.
Yeah, well, the only place of socializing I come on a daily basis is my kids' school, so I'm definitely not going to touch anyone there.
Safety first. Safety first.
Well said.
Anyway, before we get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast, I want to throw to a little segment of an interview I did earlier with Danish football journalist Niklas Dehn about Başakşehir's upcoming fixture in the Europa League. So what you're about to listen to is a sample of some of our Football à la Turca VIP content. If you subscribe on patreon.com/fault for just $3 a month, you'll have access to exclusive VIP audio feed that you can add. Everyone who subscribes on Patreon will get a unique RSS feed, which they can then enter in their favorite podcast apps. Not Spotify or anything. It just works in like actual podcast apps, but you can put the RSS feed in there, and then you basically get a new Football à la Turca VIP feed where all the exclusive bonus content will appear on. I spoke to Danish football journalist Niklas Dehn about Başakşehir's European opponents, FC Copenhagen.
Denmark, Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe, Besiktas. In Denmark, a lot of people focus on Başakşehir's lack of European results, and the opposite at FC Copenhagen's part. They have been performing pretty good in Europe, and they also always perform good in Europe with no regards to how they're performing in the league.
Who are their key players?
Victor Fischer, he was a very big prospect at Ajax. He's back at Denmark. He's 25. He's all in all, he's been performing really, really good. He's sort of the player that when he's at his best, he is way too good for the Danish Superliga. Now, you're absolutely right in pointing out Damendøje, because he's been just terrific while coming back to FC Copenhagen.
What impact does the coronavirus have?
The game in Copenhagen on the 19th would be without spectators anyway, due to the coronavirus.
His thoughts on the tie?
All in all, I expect two very, very even matches.
And even his take on the title race in the Turkish Super League.
It's difficult to say. I really had Galatasaray as the favorite, even though it's so close. But I think I have to take that up for a thought after the results yesterday.
For more great exclusive content just like this, head over to patreon.com/fault and become an official Turkaholic today for just $3 a month. Yeah, so that was it. Do consider joining us on Patreon, $3 a month, and we will be producing more content like this every month to give you bang for your buck. So if you like that kind of stuff, additional content on top of the weekly free podcast we already do, then please head over to patreon.com/fault and pledge your support to the show. Okay, guys, let's get started on the Turkish Super League matchday 25 then. No European results to talk about, no Cup results to talk about yet. I believe we spoke about that last week, especially the European results. Maybe quickly mention, I think we spoke about the Fenerbahçe Trabzonspor Cup match, but I don't think we made mention of the Alanyaspor match, which Alanyaspor won 1-0 away in the last minute, if I'm not mistaken. So just gonna throw that out there. But let's get started with the Super League, and as we just like we did last week, we'll start at the top of the table. So that means right now we'll start with Göztepe Başakşehir, because Başakşehir are the league leaders, of course, as going into this match day, as Trabzonspor still has a match in hand. They had 1 point less, so did Sivasspor and Galatasaray, who faced off this weekend. So Başakşehir went into the weekend as the league leaders, and they continue to be the league leaders because they obviously won away at Göztepe. Maybe a little bit of a misleading scoreline, 0-3. A spectacular Dembaba goal, a fantastic Dembaba performance. He scores a really good half volley, and he gets 2 assists to boot. He's really come into his own, and I did not expect him to come back as strongly at 35, following a career-threatening leg break. Just 2 years ago or so, or maybe it's already 3 years ago. But I mean, when you're 32 or something like that, and you're suffering that kind of an injury, people don't really expect you to come back, at least not at a high level. And it took him a while, but this season, since he came into the side, he's really been fantastic for Başakşehir. What do you guys make of Dembaba's rise of the ashes?
He looked really impressive. Apart from his absolute worldie of a goal, he had a couple of chances to score, to add to his score sheet as well. He looked really complete. He looked like a 25-year-old against Göztepe. Strong, powerful, even had pace, and he had the confidence to come out with a goal like that, age 35, is really impressive. Although did you notice that when he scored, he didn't really celebrate?
Mm-hmm,
I remember we talked about this a month ago when he scored against Beşiktaş and he didn't celebrate.
Yeah.
And I said in the pod, I wonder if he scores against Göztepe, will he react in the same way? And sure enough, he didn't let me down. So in more ways than one, he's been consistent.
I expected him to celebrate, to be fair. So kudos to him, you know?
Yeah.
He puts in a great performance, but he doesn't celebrate against his old team, I think, you know.
After a goal like that as well, I'd be celebrating.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly, that's the thing.
If it was a tap-in, maybe,
Yeah.
But, he scored, like I said, great technique for someone that age. But he's getting lots of good service as well, so he doesn't really have to do loads of running in behind. He can hold up the ball a little bit, but he knows where to go. And when you've got someone like Visca, who's going to be putting the balls into you, someone like İrfan Can, who can pick you out with a pass, even Alexic as well. Not so much probably Mohamed Tekdemir, but even someone like Crivelli, who he can maybe have a quick 1-2 off. He's always going to be getting the ball because there's quality around him to feed him and supply him. So it doesn't surprise me that he's scoring goals. But it's good to see him playing well. He's always been a good quality striker.
He also gave the assist, I think, for the third goal, which was a brilliant move from Mertz. Second two. So the third goal was impressive because it was just 2-pass goal. So Mertz throws it into Dembaba, and then Dembaba runs with it a little bit, gives a great pass to İrfan Can, and İrfan Can gives a classy finish to make it 3-0. So he's involved in all elements of the game. So I agree with Barak that it's not just his goal scoring, it's his hold-up play, his assist, his positioning, everything. Really, Okan Buruk is really using him perfectly in his Başakşehir system.
Yeah, and something I was always a little disappointed is a big word, but when he was at Beşiktaş, I always felt like he's a decent target man, but I felt like he was sometimes struggling a lot against stronger defenders, tall, strong defenders, and he seems to be playing a little bit further off from the defenders and just picking those balls, passing it through quickly, and he's just being a perfect pivot for the rest of the team to play off. And it doesn't surprise me that Crivelli has moved more out wide now, because Dembaba is just doing such a fantastic job at that right now. And I think he's a large part of why Başakşehir are playing as well as they have been. And maybe it's no surprise that the only match that they've lost so far in the league in 2020 against Fenerbahçe is a match where he was suspended and wasn't part of the match. Obviously, I don't think that's a coincidence. So definitely worth keeping an eye on what's going to happen against Trabzonspor. What's going to happen against Galatasaray when he's able to play? Is he going to be able to put his mark on those matches too? Apart from that, straightforward win, you would think, but good step ahead there, fair share of chances, just couldn't get it past Mert. And at the end of the day, 3-0, maybe a little bit of an exaggerated scoreline, but still a deserved win for Başakşehir, who were really good. But they do lose Eprianu to a red card. He got a yellow carded, but then he also got a direct red towards the end of in the second half after a last man fall. So he will be suspended for, I believe, just one match. I believe a straight red for a last man fall is just a one match suspension, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's the Turkish Super League. You never know what suspension you're going to get. Let's just wait and see what they decide.
Yeah, maybe they give him 5 games.
Could be.
I
Shout
thought you
out.
were going to come in with the Cameron Jerome effect then, because he was all over it beyond in this game. He was definitely superior in that battle.
Well, I was just coming in. Our boy Cameron Jerome had 2 shots, but both off target. So he did win 4 out of his 7 aerial duels though. So got to give it to Cameron. He's enjoying life by the beach. I think his contract's up at the end of this summer, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in the championship somewhere.
Yeah. And midweek, of course, Başakşehir host our friends of Denmark, FC Copenhagen. Midweek, as I spoke with Nicholas about that, of course. Go VIP, go to Patreon. Listen to that full 35-minute interview. We have a little sample up as well on Twitter with a little bit of music, but obviously the sample you heard earlier had no music to keep it streamlined with the show. But then this weekend, Trabzonspor away without Eprianu. That could be a blow to Başakşehir there. So yeah, don't underestimate that. I think that Martin Skrtel has struggled to stay in the team. No coincidence that Eprianu has been there for years, just took his spot again. He had some injuries in the last couple of years that kept him out, but when he's fit, he's still their best central defender, I feel, and they will definitely miss him in Trabzon this weekend. But let's head over then to Trabzonspor. They were, of course, in second position alongside Galatasaray and Sivasspor with a match in hand, though, and they were away at Gaziantep. And this is the first match where we do have quite a bit of controversy. The match ended 1-1 at full time, but Trabzonspor scored a goal in the second minute of stoppage time to make it 2-1, but the goal was disallowed for a foul in the build-up. And a lot of controversy around that because it was one of those positions where, personally, I feel, yes, maybe it's a foul, but it's not clear. It's one of those things where you need to watch it way too many times to even... And even after watching it a lot, I don't feel like it's a clear error. And what we've been told with VAR is that VAR can only interject, can only intervene when there is a clear error that the referee missed. And Burak, do you feel, as man of law, did you feel like that was a clear enough error to disallow a goal? It was also quite far up the pitch. I feel like Trabzonspor were quite hard done by that disallowed goal.
I think they were hard done by. It is one of those fouls that, if it happened on the ground, you would expect that to be given as a foul because of the follow through. So if it was a sliding tackle, you get the ball, then you take the guy's foot and you bring him down, that gets given as a foul. So I don't see why it shouldn't apply to when you're challenging for a ball in the air with your foot. So it was Abdul Qadir Ömür. He gets the ball with it is with his studs, and then the follow through catches the guy, the Gaziantep football club chap, on the foot, and he goes down. And it's going to use a classic term. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. It can go either way, and I think it's very hard to choose what call you want to do. I think it's really down to the interpretation of the referee. The fact it happened in the 92nd minute and it cancelled out a winning goal makes it even worse. Mm-hmm. If it happened at 0-0 or 1-1, it was like the 30th minute, 40th minute, it wouldn't feel as bad. But the the manner in which it was cancelled out is now Jakob probably knows how I feel when the Vedat goal was cancelled out for a supposed foul on Urjan, which was a ghost foul in my opinion. But I do feel it was a tough decision, and like you say, it's the VAR. If I'm reading verbatim now from the EFAB book, it says the referee may be assisted by a video assistant referee, open brackets, VAR, close brackets, only in the event of a clear and obvious error or serious missed incident in relation to goal, no goal, and this was in relation to a goal. So was it a serious missed incident or was it a clear and obvious error? Who would be a referee, especially in a Turkish league? I'm guessing that they've probably put that down to a serious missed incident in relation to a goal, and that's why they have chosen to disallow it. But hard done by. But at the end of the day, Trabzon have had those decisions go for them previously in the league. I can mention 3 that happened against Fenerbahçe. So maybe it's their time. It's their time now to eat a bit of shit. So unfortunately, that's what's happened, and that's my take on it. It's a harsh decision, but by the letter of the law and interpretation, I would have given a foul.
Jakub, what do you have to say about this incident?
It was weird. It was weird because there was a point where the referee, he had his 5 minutes of deliberating, and he went to the screen and he looked at everything and stuff. And then when he decided, when he made a decision, he first pointed as if it was a goal. So you can see Guilherme, being all happy that we scored. Then in a split second later, he decides no, it isn't a goal. And then you see Güven, I think, was the keeper. You see him. Günay. You see him celebrating. So I thought, in my opinion, I don't think that he even knows what he did, because
I was confused. I felt like he was pointing to the spot, to the middle, for
a goal.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first.
Yeah, so I honestly think that he had a brain fart, and after he made a decision, he was like, well, I guess I just have to do this now because I can't go back on my decision. Especially in front of the away crowd, but it was just even though we played horribly, in my opinion, our midfield was horrible. Sosa has been on a downward spiral for a while now. Gaziantep did a good thing by limiting how much Sørloth got on the ball. They had a good game plan and they executed well. But still, when stuff like this happens, especially like in the 80th minute, there was a position where in the box, the ball gets crossed to Vakayeme. Vakayeme gets it with his foot to pull it in front of him, and then you have a player from Gaziantep hit his foot. Pretty much the same exact situation in the 80th minute, and he didn't give a foul. He didn't do anything. He just kept the game playing.
Yeah, he was talking with VAR on that incident. VAR was looking at it because there was a brief communication.
I mean, in my opinion, if you give a foul for the Abdülkadir position, then this position with Djilobodji and Hakem is also a foul. I didn't think that the Abdülkadir position was a foul. By the way, he just gets the ball and. I just think that it was a bullshit decision by the ref. Unfortunately, in this day and age, pretty much all the mistakes that the referee make are just being magnified in the press, in social media, and you have a whole shit show going on at the moment between Trabzonspor and the Merkez Hakem Kurulu Başkanı. So that's nice. I guess this season we don't have like a single day without controversy. It's either Fenerbahçe, it's either us or any other big team. It's become so annoying, and I really can't wait for the season to end. To be honest.
Özür, did you think it was a foul in the first instance?
No, not at all. I was absolutely shocked that it even went to VAR, and then when the goal was disallowed, I really thought Trabzon had been robbed, to be honest. Really.
I personally, I don't really think there was that much, but the main issue here for me is what Burak said, that there can only be, have a bit of a background noise there, I think, that there can only be an interjection from VAR if there's a clear error, and I just feel like that is never a clear and obvious error by the referee. So VAR should not have intervened there. If the ref goes for the foul in first instance, okay, fine. But it's something where you have to look, 10 times to see if there's even proper contact and stuff like that. It's just, for me, it just doesn't qualify for an obvious error. So I feel like despite the fact that Trabzonspor didn't play too well, they did get robbed in that particular instance there. Anyway, let's move on then to the other two teams that were just 1 point behind the league leaders going into this match day, and that is of course Sivasspor Galatasaray. Sivas were at the top of the table for a long time, but they have faltered in recent weeks. Galatasaray, on the other hand, had won all of their matches in 2020, in the league at least, not in the cup. But that came to a halt here as they were kept to a 2-2 draw in Sivas, and again, plenty of controversy here, I would say. First and foremost, Sivasspor started the match really well, really took Galatasaray by the throat, took an early lead, and I think I said it in the group chat, I posted it on Twitter, like, now watch Sivasspor lean back like idiots, and that's exactly what they did. Galatasaray immediately hit them back through a Nummer Bayram free kick that was sent to the far post, and Falcao ended up putting it in the back of the net. 1-1 after just a couple of minutes being in the lead there. And that really seemed to shock Sivas, because after that they were unrecognizable in comparison to the opening couple of minutes where they were just all over Galatasaray, but now the roles were reversed. Galatasaray took charge of the match, took a deserved lead, and then in the second half, Sivasspor got a penalty. I wasn't even sure if it was in the box, to be fair. Uzar, what did you think about that penalty position? I know you weren't too happy about that.
Oh man, I thought it was absurd, simply absurd. I agree that it wasn't even inside the penalty box, but it wasn't a foul either. The fact that the ref gave this and gave a penalty, I was just absolutely shocked. I mean, it's not too different really from Abdul Kadir's position in terms of minimal contact, guys going for the ball. There's not enough contact to make it a foul there. And in any case, even if it was a foul, and even if it was in the penalty box, the referee already dismissed it and waved play on. So under what circumstances did VAR get into play here? Only if there's a serious error. Is that right? So I don't understand why the referee was even called in to review the position again.
Yeah,
I think
only when it's obvious.
The rules.
It's only when it's obvious that the referee missed a clear foul.
Exactly.
So not
Whereas
something
the
that's
referee actually saw the position and waved play on. So there's a misapplication of the rules here. So if Galatasaray were being salty bitches, they would be well within their rights to apply to the TFF on one of those rule regulation things. But
No, it's a referee error. That's not the same thing.
It's the VAR. It's a VAR error, isn't it? Because the VAR shouldn't have come into play.
It's not a rules violation.
I don't know.
No, because
it's build a strong case.
No,
I'm not saying
a rules violation is something that is not up for interpretation whatsoever, where a rule was misapplied. Here, whether it's a clear foul or not, at the end of the day.
I'm not saying about the foul. I'm saying about the fact that the referee was even allowed to look at VAR having waved play on. But anyway, I don't want to get bogged down because this happened in the 55th minute, so there's still plenty of time for Jimbom to come back from this. And even before that, Feghouli had a few good chances to make it 3-1. There was one position where he cut back a little bit too late. Falcao was free, and it was just really frustrating because, like you said, Gala really deserved to go ahead 2-1, and there were chances to kill the game off, but just couldn't finish them. And I think we actually played pretty well, despite the fact that we dropped points. Terim after the game was really visibly annoyed to have dropped 2 points here, because this is a critical game for both of us. And okay, we played well, but we really didn't deserve to come away from this without the 2 points. I thought the pitch was awful as well. I know Sivas is famed for its cold weather and brutal weather at this time of year, but really, for a brand new stadium, they should have provisions for that kind of thing. And I think the pitch really wiped out the effectiveness of Onyekuru, who didn't really play any part in the game, was too slow, couldn't really find the space to run. The pitch was in a pretty bad shape. But
I'm not sure how much you can prepare for that, though, when the weather is that harsh.
Well, I guess so. I just wonder if maybe Onyekuru could have been subbed off a little bit. Could have been subbed off at some point sooner. And I thought the decision to take off Lemina with 50 minutes to go was bizarre as well from Terim. But for what has now become one of the toughest away fixtures in the league, I think in front of 20,000 fans, it was a really bouncing for 90 minutes. I think it's not a terrible result, but in the context of the league, when you want 8 out of 8 to drop 2 points against title contenders is a real blow for us, because we have tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, plus Trabzonspor dropped points, so this was ideal for you.
Right. So really, this is a great week if you're one of the 2 Başakşehir fans. You go ahead in the league, top of the league. You go through to the next round. You got a tasty draw in the Europa League. Sitting pretty. I mean, if there was a positive, I'd say Falcao, having scored 8 goals and 1 assist in his last 7 games, is on really hot form right now. So hopefully he keeps that up, because he put in a good shift for sure with 1 goal and 1 assist.
And who else was shocked by Marcelo Saracchi getting off with yellow?
Oh yeah. That was a bit absurd. It was exactly like what happened to him in the Fener game. I can't remember who it was. Was it Dennis who did that wrestling move on him?
Yeah, but there he got held a little bit, so there was some plausible deniability. You know?
Yeah, I guess so.
There was plausible deniability there, but here there wasn't.
But honestly, I think that tackle really disturbed him, because he just thought, this is my chance to get someone else back for this, to take it out on someone else. It was really similar to what had happened to him, and it was absurd. Again, that the ref only gave a yellow card. I think Terim even in the press conference after said, yeah, he should have been given a red card.
Against Fenerbahçe it was with Dirar, and Dirar was kind of holding his leg.
That's it.
But here he just shot up like a rocket, kicking at Emre Kılınç. and even here,
it was mad.
The yellow card was awarded here after communication with VAR, and as we know, VAR cannot make a judgment on yellow cards. So
VAR had a bad game.
I don't know what was up there, and for me, that's one of the most blatant red cards we haven't seen given in recent years. I'm thinking of the Martin Skrtel flying drop kick. if any of you remember that one last season.
Oh, how can we forget?
Yeah. And then we had some almost headbutts this season, but I kind of feel like there's a precedent being set here where this season, this kind of stuff doesn't seem to happen, and then suddenly you have 3 of those instances in just a couple of weeks' time. First we had Serdar with Pereira, then we had Ndiaye with I don't even remember who it was with, and now we have this, and we had this with Dirar also. But like I said, with Dirar there was some plausible deniability because Dirar was kind of holding his leg and stuff, but here I don't know. He just seemed to he seems to be is he Argentinian by any chance? He is, right? Uruguayan. Yeah, same hot, flared South American temper. So, this is sick. Yeah, I think Saracchi has a red card in him.
No, that was entertaining for sure. Yeah.
Burak, what do you think of the penalty that Sivasspor got?
A penalty, and Seri should have got a second yellow and been sent off. But apparently, that doesn't apply to Galatasaray. The penalty should have been retaken, because Mert Hakan Yandaş was literally on the 6-yard line as the ball went in, and the rules clearly state that if there's encroachment by an attacking player and the outcome of the penalty kick is a goal, then the penalty is retaken. So that penalty should have been retaken.
That's one of the worst enforced rules in football across Europe.
Gets enforced against Fenerbahçe a lot this season.
There was also a Galatasaray player in the box, by the way.
Try not to do it. Yeah. It's a shame for Muslera. Once in the blue moon, he saved the bloody penalty, and then it goes in the bloody rebound.
Yeah,
it was a really good save. But he's been having such a good form lately. Touch wood.
Just to be clear, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what the standard of refereeing is, and I think it's good that there shouldn't be a retake if the encroachment has no impact. If a goalkeeper comes off his line too quick and makes a save, then obviously retake. If a goalkeeper comes off his line too quick and the penalty is scored, then why would you punish the goal scorer? Why would you punish the other team? I don't really understand that. So
no one understands, Khan. But
but I mean, I think they need to amend the rule. They need to make an amendment to the encroachment rule where if the encroachment has a direct impact, like for example, if a defending player comes in the box too quickly and clears the ball or something, then obviously I think a retake is in order. And if an attacking player encroaches and scores a rebound, obviously that should be retaken. But I think what they're applying in practice in that regard is fine. Except, I mean, with Fenerbahçe, with those two penalties, of course, there's no denying that Altay is off his line too quickly. The only inconsistency then there, you had that Farnell one for Malatyaspor where they didn't apply the same logic, and that's obviously a mistake that should not be allowed. If you're going to do it for one team, you have to do it for all the teams. But
we're used to it.
But in regards to guys, please mute because the background, it's really annoying. But in regards to when it doesn't have an impact, I think ordering a retake or even an indirect free kick, which I saw some shouts for, that's a bridge too far for me. The Muslera makes a decent save, but not good enough because it spills right back into the path of Emre, and he scores a rebound. And there's no encroaching player that impacts that to any extent. I mean, if you look at the closest impact that you could have, it's the defending Galatasaray player who almost gets to Emre on time to clear it, and he was in the box too early. I'm not sure who it was, but I don't even think Mertak Yandash was anywhere near the ball at the time. Anyway, what did you think of the Saracchi position, Burak?
I don't know how that wasn't a straight red card. But nothing surprises me about these Turkish refs anymore, and the absolute shit show of a league that we have. Like Jakub, I'm looking forward to it ending and getting into the summer, because it's just an embarrassment to watch these referees week in, week out making such horrendous decisions and showing no consistency. And if I was speaking to friends, I wouldn't recommend they watch the Turkish league for the quality of the football. I'd recommend that they watch it for the theatrics and it should be an exercise in how not to referee a football match or how not to run a football league. And that's the only reason I'd recommend that people watch it.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like in every country they say the same thing about their refs. I mean, we've seen this in the Premier League even, recently with Harry Maguire just kicking a guy straight in the nuts and not even getting a red card. So those types of unfathomable missed red cards happen everywhere, it seems. And also other weird decisions. The referees get criticized everywhere, and VAR should have helped that to improve it. And it seems that in many cases it only brings more controversy because the rules aren't defined clearly enough, I feel. And yeah, with the access to the internet, everyone's looking up the rules themselves, and well, it says this, but then referees apply it differently or interpret it differently, and it just causes more confusion. And they constantly make changes. Like the running joke here in Belgium is that nobody understands the hands rule anymore because they've made these amendments, and they've only made it more confusing, it feels like. Yeah. Jakub, same question. Penalty and the red card for Saracchi, the yellow card for Saracchi, I should say. Were those? What did you think of the penalty to begin with?
I mean, first of all, I really enjoyed this match. I normally don't really enjoy watching games from teams that are not Trabzonspor, but this was a really fun match to watch. I think for a couple of Galatasaray fans, it was maybe a little bit stressful, but for a neutral fan, it was a really great game. As for the positions, I was watching with a group of guys, and everybody, like the moment that Saracchi got a yellow, everybody was like, wait, what? it was so weird and it was so clear, and it was unbelievable that he only got a yellow. He did play a really, really, really good game, by the way. But yeah, in my opinion, it should have been a red all day, every day. As for the penalty, that that one I just didn't, I didn't know what to think of it. I don't know if it's, I haven't seen the foul position really well, but it really looked to me like it was outside the box. So I wouldn't have even given a penalty for it. But if it was a foul, and I do have the position up here at the moment, and I don't know, man. It looks so weird. It does look like he clips him, City.
But where does that happen? Because it feels like by the end of the phase, like they're 2 meters out the box.
I mean, the moment the Sivasspor player lands on the ground, his foot is pretty much exactly on the line. So,
okay, then it's a penalty. On the
so
line,
if that's the rule,
the box. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the rule, then it should have been a penalty. But I also think, as Burak does, that if it is a foul, Seri should have gotten a second yellow, and it should have been a red. Even though, yeah, I don't know.
But we have the same exact thing happened in the Beşiktaş Ankara Gücü match, where Vida not exact same thing, because this one was more clear, but Vida also makes a fall on the line, which goes to a penalty, but he also didn't get a yellow card. Why should it be a yellow card for Seri? It's not a malicious fall or anything. I don't know.
It's a foul.
Yeah, but you don't give a yellow card for every fall, do you? I mean,
that's a yellow card offense.
Yeah, but again, open to interpretation by the ref. I mean, not every fall is worthy of a yellow card. We see. I mean, look at Serdar Aziz. He makes like 20 fouls in a match, and he doesn't get a yellow card.
I mean, it's all in all, it was a really good game. Unfortunate that it seems like we do have some massive refereeing mistakes every now and then, but it seems like this weekend was once again an outlier that has a couple of really title deciding maybe and I do think that maybe not the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, when there are big games between the top four and between the title candidates, we just should at least have like one referee, foreign referee for the VAR if it's possible, and maybe even to direct the game. But I don't see that happening any days, because it's just impossible. But it's getting really annoying, because
foreign referees are not that easy to instruct.
But it seems it's starting to get annoying that every I follow a couple of teams online, and every time that a team says that a certain referee is going to ref their game, the comments are filled with, "Oh, okay, I guess we're losing this one." And I haven't seen football fans not complaining about refs in like the last 26 years. And I don't think it's ever going to stop. But it's
I think we all, with every
we just gotta live with it.
Every ref that's been around for like 3 seasons plus, I think every team has like a negative experience with them.
Yeah, and now that they are pundits online, on TV also, it's like, okay, when you're finally done with the guy, when he finally retires, he just goes on TV and keeps doing the stupid shit on TV now. So it's like a double thing.
Maybe we can get Marcus Mack back as a foreign ref.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant on the show here.
TV. Oh, maybe that too.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford him. We'll need a couple of more Patreons then if we want to hire Marcus Mack. I'll see if I can find him on LinkedIn. Let's head over to the next match for number 5 in the league, Beşiktaş, who took on Ankara Gücü, who are of course still in the relegation zone and who are in desperate need of points after losing last week. Beşiktaş coming off of a win last week, and now they continue their winning ways with a 2-1 win over Ankaragücü, but it definitely wasn't easy for them. Beşiktaş started really well, grabbed Ankaragücü by the throat, similar to Sivasspor, scored, and basically the same thing happened, where the team, not as badly as Sivas, obviously, because the quality of opponent was less, but Beşiktaş definitely didn't show the same type of vigor going forward, not really that serious about finding the second and third goal. I felt like, I think I at some point even tweeted something along the lines of, you're playing like you're 3-0 up, but it was just 1-0. So you know where players start shooting from anywhere, like the match is already won. You can't do that at 1-0. You have to try to actually put a decent attack together and find a goal instead of just shooting. Obviously, later in the match, somebody just shooting, excuse me, worked out. Big controversy here too.
Big controversy. You've got the coronavirus.
Yeah, no, I just
Corona.
Yeah, Corona. My Corona. No, big controversy here too with that denied penalty for Sedat Akçay. At first, I was just like, he's just fishing completely 100% for a penalty. Still think that's what he was doing, but Burak pointed out that there was definitely contact with Karius's right knee. And
right knee.
Yeah, and in the replay that was quite apparent. So definitely contact. Definitely could have been a penalty. Yeah. What do you think, Burak, man of law? Was it enough for a penalty, or was he trying too much to get one?
Definitely enough for penalty. He definitely looks like he planted his leg looking for contact. But we know that players do that, and they're entitled to do that and play the system and try and look for contact. But it was a decent amount of contact by Karius, who was sliding out with his right knee. I think what worked against Sedat in this case was that he was extremely theatrical. It was as if there was, a sniper in the top of Vodafone Park who just shot him, and he went down, and that maybe influenced the ref to give him a yellow for simulation, whereas I think it should have been a penalty. But, Ankaragücü, ever since they beat Fenerbahçe and their manager was ordained the new Jurgen Klopp, have lost 3 games in a row. So obviously he was a false prophet. He used up all of his energy on trying to beat Fener, so fuck him.
Was it a clear and obvious error for you? Should VAR have said something?
Yes, definitely.
Jakub, what do you think? Was that a clear and obvious error? Should it have been a penalty, or was he just fishing too much?
I don't know. I keep going between it was a penalty and it wasn't a penalty. The more I look at it, it doesn't look like a penalty.
For me, it's the other way around.
I mean, the first time I watched it, I thought, okay, this one is a clear penalty. But as Burak said, the guy is falling over so theatrically. It looks like Burak Yilmaz in 2012, and it's so unbelievable that probably because the way he falls, a penalty was denied. Because in my opinion, it kind of looks like he seeks out the contact and he seems to drop before Karius actually hits him. But it's like a gray zone. It's neither white, it's neither black. It's so kind of difficult. I think I say this a lot. I think a couple of guys are going to hate me for it, but I think that either choice would be okay in my book. If the ref gave a penalty for this, I wouldn't complain about it. If the referee didn't give a penalty, I would say like, okay, maybe because of the way he falls and the way he seeks out contact. Yeah. So
the yellow card was too much, though.
I'm sorry.
The yellow card was too much, though. When there is contact, unless of course, well, I think if it was very clear that he was already falling and then the contact is made, I think then you can definitely give a yellow. But in hindsight, at the time I thought, okay, yellow is fine. But looking back at it, with seeing that knee contact, I do definitely think that the yellow was too harsh. Whether you give a penalty or not, that's a different matter. And even Denis Choban on Marathon afterwards said, giving a yellow is more wrong than giving a penalty. But I kind of had the sense that he felt like it wasn't a penalty either.
I mean, maybe he gave the yellow because he thought he was trying to, manipulate him to give a penalty, and maybe that's the reason why he gave a yellow. But it does look way too soft for a yellow.
What do you think, Ozer? Should it have been a penalty?
I'm just looking at my notes. So the way I often prepare for these games is that I watch the highlights or watch the game and just make a few notes which I use as a basis for my comments. But in this case, I've just written Sedat yellow card for dive, but Karius makes contact! ! And so I'm kind of having a conversation with myself, even in the notes. And I'm really have to sit on the fence with this one. I pretty much agree with everything Jakub says. I'm in two minds. I'm really split down the middle. He does make contact, but he's really looking for it. It's kind of a hesitant contact that comes after he's already falling. So if he was a little bit more convincing, or if he'd held his body position a little bit more before the contact came in, it would have been better, I think. But he's looking for the contact.
Yeah. I also think that his touch was also working against him, because it felt like he was just trying to just make sure he got his foot against that, absolutely not caring where the ball goes, just to get that touch and then, look for the penalty go down. I think that also worked against him. If his control would have been better, maybe then the guys would have been more deceiving or whatever. But it feels to me like you guys don't feel that this is a clear error then. Let's start talking about clear errors, since we spoke about it so much already.
I don't think it can be called a clear error. It's too unclear, and we all agree that it's kind of sitting on the fence about this a little bit. So I think it would be harsh to call it a clear error.
Ankaragücü, though, very responded well to going a goal down. They had their chances. Dever Özgil, I've a couple of times already this season, I feel like I don't know what's wrong with the guy. He feels like he doesn't want to be there. He's like moping around on the pitch. I feel like he tries to get sent off. At one point he was on a yellow card, and then he barges into Jermaine Lens. I think all day long yellow card, should have gotten sent off there. And it just feels like that's not the first time I've seen him do that this season. He seems to be not too happy at Ankaragücü, and I don't know what's wrong with him. He seems to have some disciplinary issues. I thought Jamaican guys were supposed to be happy.
he misses his friend who went to Besiktas, his strike partner.
True. Tyler Boyd, who had a good game.
Tyler Boyd. Yeah.
And then obviously Adem Ljajic scoring the 2-0, not too far from full time. A fantastic strike from the edge of the area. Celebrates with putting his fingers in his ears. A message to the fans, a message to the media. He's been often criticized this season. One of the many scapegoats, perhaps. Jakub knows how I feel about that. I do feel like he gets way too much criticism, way too heavily, since I think when a team at the time as Beşiktaş were playing as bad as they were, and I don't feel like you can just single out players when the entire team is really failing like that. You can't expect one player, especially that type of a player, to carry the team that is playing as badly as they are. But then again, I don't think that it's wise of him to do what he did, even if the criticism at times is definitely exaggerated and unfounded. Still, you're just shooting yourself in the foot by doing stuff like that, I feel, and he's going to, unless if he manages to pull off a miracle and single-handedly wins the derby next week in Türk Telekom Arena, I think the fans will forgive him. But otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a concert of boos the next home game where he makes his appearance. What did you guys think of his celebration?
Yeah, it was a little bit excessive, but the goal was spectacular, so...
Yeah, but that's often, a player will score a goal, and that's a great goal, but still, I mean, one goal isn't enough, I think, to act like that. Even though I understand his frustration, I 100% understand his frustration, because I feel like Turkish fans are so toxic, and they sometimes seem to forget why they are there at the stadium. To support their team.
I mean, it was a nice goal. I do like the celebration. I've seen it with Depay a couple of years back. I think last year, Coutinho had it when he was at Barcelona, and it does send a message. I rather have that he does this instead of doing some dumb stuff. But I do think that as a player that plays for a big team, Beşiktaş being one of the bigger teams in Turkey, the expectations that are on you and that are expected of you from the supporter side and from the board side and whatever. If you just don't So I just looked up. If you don't perform well enough to meet those expectations, you just deserve to be criticized for it. I know that Turkish fans in general sometimes cross a certain line, and I don't know if that really happened with Ljajic, but
Yeah, but
maybe,
when the criticisms are the guy has a high fever and people are saying, oh, he's just faking it not to have to play. That's type of criticism that for me that's not okay.
Yeah, that's just dumb. I know that in the end it only works against your team, and
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of people think that they might motivate a player by doing stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it probably does more harm than it does well.
It's like booing your goalkeeper. What on earth are you trying to accomplish by doing that? I mean, with Tolga after 2 years or 3 years, I understood it. But yeah, no. Karius was already getting booed last season after a couple of months. It's just what do you expect? What do you expect a goalkeeper to flourish under those types of situations? And it's not the first time, Obviously, Beşiktaş haven't had the biggest luck with goalkeepers, but still. Burak, you loved the celebration, you said.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was too in the face. It was too distasteful. It was just a small reminder, and he let his frustrations out. It's not like a sticking your finger up or taking your shirt off or running off the pitch. It's just a kind of, remember me, bitches, kind of. Thing.
That's fine if you didn't stay after the full-time whistle and at least you greet the fans or something. But he, as soon as the full-time whistle went, he just ran straight to the dressing room. He didn't stay to greet the fans or anything. I just feel like that in combination with the celebration is a big mistake on his part. I mean, fine, the celebration, okay, but at least then at the end of the match, you had your say. Now just celebrate with the fans, because that goal did end up giving them the 3 points. Ankara would get on the score sheet through a penalty. First there was a free kick awarded, but a similar situation with the Galatasaray Sivasspor match where Sivasspor got a penalty. Similar situation. This one was more obvious. Fall on the line, and ultimately Ilhan Parlak set up to rob Loris Karius of his clean sheet. And 2-1 full time, but Ankara, I think, definitely deserved a point. Good performance from them. But yeah, obviously they're in a position where they need to start winning games. Like Burak said, that's their third loss since they beat Fenerbahçe. They need to pick up some wins. They didn't have the easiest schedule, unfortunately, for them. And I don't know if that's going to be improving anytime soon for them. They still play Galatasaray, they still play Trabzonspor. I think they still play Sivas and Başakşehir too, so they have plenty of difficult matches lined up for them in the last 9 competition games. So after that, let's move over to Fenerbahçe then. Let's talk about Fenerbahçe, because they as well didn't manage to get a win. They drew 2-2 with Denizlispor in a match where I think if they play it 10 times, they win it at least 8. Fener took a really good start to this match. Deserved lead. Although Barrow had a good opportunity early, but I still felt like Fener were in control, took a lead, and then they just conceded a dumb penalty, which also results in a second yellow, sending off, and suddenly the match is turned on its head, Burak. What did you think of that red card, that penalty, the match in general? It ended 2-2, obviously, with a man down. Fenerbahçe still got back into the game after Mustafa Yumlu had put Denizlispor ahead in the second half. Serdar Aziz scored a really good header in added time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Second week in a row where that Fenerbahçe salvaged a 2-2 draw in added time. But deserved, though, right? I mean, despite the fact going down to a man down, they did show enough character to get back into it, and you saw a lot of anger and frustration in the celebration of Serdar at the end. But what did you think of the penalty? Because that was really the turning point of the match.
It was a penalty. It was Tolga. It was hand wasn't exactly by his side. You can look at it in the replay. It came out a little bit to handle it, and the ref was probably justified to giving him a yellow card. You could say that was accidental, maybe. So why go for a double punishment? But the ref, Zorbay Küçük, is the son of Galatasaray entrepreneur, so you would expect us to get him to do that for us. And the annoying thing is that was, if Tolga hadn't got sent off, I don't think we would have gone on to concede as we did, as we had to make some changes. It was just, you can see that just the confidence and the life has been sucked out of the team in the last 4 to 5 weeks. And this is a team that was playing for the title at the start of the second half of the season, beating Başakşehir. And then a combination of external influences, injuries, and a failure to protect the team and shield them from all the negativity on the outside has come to affect us. I was excited to see Ferdi start. I was excited that we had Ömer Faruk Beyaz on the bench, and that then turned to Ferdi being taken off and being unjustly criticised by fans and Rıdvan, of course, on TV. This is the first time he started in the first 11 in a league game, and I felt that he's just coming in at such a horrible, toxic time in a team bereft of confidence that it's really hard for him to perform. I would have liked to have seen an appearance by Ömer Faruk Beyaz at one point, but obviously it wasn't the time and it wasn't the area for him to come in. Our disallowed goal was definitely not a foul that it was disallowed for. So big issue with that. That was scored by Serdar Aziz, and then Serdar Aziz pops up again to score right at the end. So he's another saviour for us. But I think the coach, we're keeping him for our next game against Konyaspor, and I don't know what we are going to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's a yellow card suspended, right?
Yeah, the next game against Konya, we've got so many suspensions. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of team starts. Hopefully we start Ferdi again and give him a chance. But the performance, it was controlled. It was nothing exciting, really. Not a great deal going on, unfortunately. So happy to get a point, but just unhappy with everything in general. Can't wait for the season to end and go on summer holidays.
Yeah, there seem to be a lot of common misconceptions about the double punishment rule. By the way, that's something that was implemented for not punishing a team twice with a direct red card and a penalty. That still only applies under certain circumstances. Like, for example, if a player clears the ball off the line with a deliberate handball, it's still always going to be a direct red card. If a player deliberately brings down a player in the box to prevent them from a clear goal-scoring opportunity, that's still a direct red card. It's only that comes into play when there's like an accidental fall, and the best example I can think of is that Andreas Beck red card against Dynamo Kiev in the Champions League, where the attacker actually pushes Beck falls down, and in the resulting fall, fall. As he is falling, he makes contact again with the attacker, and the attacker falls and actually gets a penalty. That's an example, I think, of where you don't want to double punish, even though that was never a penalty to begin with, because the attacker faulted him first. But anyway, getting off track a little bit. With the handball, and this is what I was told in the beginning of the season, if you remember, Galatasaray got a penalty against Sivasspor, where Abdenur, the ball was headed from really close distance against his arm by Ryan Babel, if you remember. And I was like, how on... And he got a second yellow for that. And I really didn't understand that, because, okay, his arm is in an unnatural position, sure, but that was 100% not a deliberate handball, which really confused me. Why would he get sent off then? And apparently, as part of this new amendment to the rule with the handball rule, if you block a shot that is going towards goal, deliberate or undeliberate, it doesn't matter. It always is a penalty and a yellow card. If the arm is making your body unnaturally bigger. So obviously, if your arm is near the side of your body and it hits it, that's obviously not a penalty. But here, I wasn't too sure if Tolgai's arm was really in an actual position, to be quite fair. I mean, a penalty, sure, but I think a second yellow was a little bit harsh, given that I don't really know if I don't know, it's difficult, it's still open to interpretation. What is making your body unnaturally bigger? That does still feel like something that you need to be doing deliberately, right? But then again, they say intent is not important in that regard, so it's really confusing what they did with the handball rule, but it does feel like a double punishment there, and I didn't think that Fenerbahçe were going to drop points here. Jakub and Uzar, what did you guys think about that penalty position for Denizlispor? Uzar, you first, maybe.
Oh, apologies. I was on mute, I think. I'm just trying to load it up again, just to watch it again. But
I was sure you were going to say I was on Tinder or something.
Well, if this is just my cover story, it might be named something else. But I feel as though Denizli were denied it, to be honest. But then again, look, the whole context of the game, they had 2 chances to kill the game off, and didn't take them. And in the last second, they had a chance to win it too, and didn't take it. So, yeah, again, can blame the referee and all that kind of thing, but you got to take your own destiny into your own hands. And that's why.
Did you think it was a penalty though? The one that they got, the one from Tolgai. Did you think it was a right decision to also send off the player?
Oh, I see. Well, I think given the new double jeopardy rule that you're talking about, I think that was a bit harsh actually.
What do you think, Jakub?
I mean, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't really understand why he got a red for it. I mean, it wasn't like he put his arm out.
It was a second yellow, and blocking a shot towards goal is with your arm, with your hand, is a yellow card, regardless of intent. But you do have to be making your body unnaturally bigger, and there is kind of where I feel like his arm wasn't really out or anything. It was still kind of next to his body, and it wasn't he also kind of like turning.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a reflex of sorts. He, as you said, he's. I don't know. I can see why the ref, maybe after looking at VAR, thought that it might have been an unusual movement. But at the speed that the ball is kicked at goal, I think that before you really react to this, I think it's a little bit unfair to Tolgai, because it doesn't look like he did it on purpose, to be honest.
Let's head over then to the other team that's also still in contention for European football, which is Alanyaspor. They drew 1-1 away at Rizespor Yasin Bamu had opened the scoring here for Alanyaspor, and I kind of felt like he looked a little bit like Talishka with his blonde hair. And then a very nice equalizer from Samudio to pull things level here. I don't think there's too much to spend time on in this game. Alanyaspor drop points again. They are now on 40 points, same as Fenerbahçe. Beşiktaş are on 43. And then, of course, we have 3 teams that are on 49 right now with Trabzonspor, Sivasspor and Galatasaray. So it looks like Alanyaspor and Fenerbahçe are going to definitely have their work cut out for them if they still want to finish in the top 4, which would guarantee European football. Otherwise, they still both have a chance to win the cup, which also obviously would guarantee European football. And otherwise, they're going to miss out on European football probably if they don't end in the top 5 or 4. Let's move on then to the relegation dogfight. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Tonight, of course, we had Gençlerbirliği Antalyaspor. They really aren't that much involved in the relegation dogfight anymore. I think many people were expecting a solid performance from Antalyaspor, but it was really Gençlerbirliği who got more of a chance to win it, so to speak. They were in the lead for a long time until through a Giovanni Sio goal, by the way, until Lukas Podolski equalized in the final 10 minutes of the match. But Gençlerbirliği really felt like they were the team that were looking more likely to win. Both teams obviously in the belly of the ranking. They are fine. They are safe from relegation at the moment. The teams that really have to worry are, of course, Ankaragücü, who we already spoke about, who are still in the relegation zone. But also the 2 bottom teams, Kasımpaşa, Kayserispor, who actually faced each other. And I think last week we mentioned something like those types of matches usually end in a draw that doesn't really help either side. But this one really didn't. Kasımpaşa with a really emphatic win, 5-1 at home against Kayserispor. And Kayserispor had actually looked decent in recent weeks. But yeah, against a direct opponent, apparently it wasn't that easy as it was against teams that don't have that much to play for, perhaps. And 5-1 for Kasımpaşa, really deserved win, I guess. They were 3-0 up already at halftime. Kayserispor managed to score through Bernard Mensah, a really nice goal from the edge of the area in the second half, but not enough to get back in the game. They had a penalty shout. Bernard Mensah wasn't too happy about the Turkish state of refereeing after the match, but I don't know if they really had all that much to complain about given their performance here. Just Kayserispor not helped, obviously. They stay bottom. Kasımpaşa now on level points with Konyaspor. So Konya, really starting to feel that hot breath of that relegation zone in their necks. They are only out of the relegation zone now on goal differential. Konya, on their turn, they played to a 1-1 draw this week. They played against Malatyaspor. So really the 2 teams that are arguably in the worst form right now. And Konyaspor, their matches have... There's one thing you can say for Bülent Korkmaz. I think Konyaspor's matches have become a lot more exciting. There's plenty of goal positions on either side. And a really peculiar fact here was that Serkan Kerintili got sent off again with a direct red card for handling the ball outside of the box.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. He did the same thing earlier this season in this exact same fixture against Malatyaspor, and now he did it again. And Umut was really livid about it and convinced that he did it on purpose because they play Fenerbahçe, his former club, next week. But I think if you look at the position, there's no way that he did that on purpose. It's just brain fart, I think.
I mean, it's really unbelievable how keeper that has. How old is he? He's like 34 or something.
Yeah, it must be 34, 35. I think he's from like 1985 or something.
I mean, how can you still make, dumbass mistakes like that at that age after being, after playing for so many years? It does bring up some questions.
But was it a dumbass mistake, though? Because, obviously what he did initially and not getting the ball was a dumbass mistake. But I think if he doesn't handle it, then there's an empty net and there's probably a loss in store for them. So I kind of understand. At the end of the day, maybe with that stupid red card, he does save a point for them.
I mean, if there also wasn't like a precedent that he did this before, exactly in the same game before,
Exactly.
Yeah, but that one
before
was
playing
much
against,
worse.
You're
against
giving him
Fenerbahçe.
too much credit.
Yeah,
That one was
You're
much,
giving him too much credit.
but that one earlier this season was so much worse because that was just him coming out, plucking the ball out of the air, outside of the box. That was ridiculous. But this was, I think, a calculated red card. And, given the fact that they ended up getting a point, probably smart. But they should have really done better. They should have gotten 3 points against a Malatyaspor that have been on the ropes for weeks. But, yeah, they just can't get the job done. The only goal they scored came from a penalty spot. Riyad Bajic scoring for the first time in months. But, Konyaspor and Malatyaspor, both of them not looking too good. Konya with this 23 points now. Malatyaspor 25. So Malatyaspor 2 points above the relegation zone, and then obviously Konya on level. Still need to mute. Let's see, what else do we have left? I think we spoke about everything I want to say in terms of matches. Yeah, I think we touched up on all of them. Didn't really do a match. Did we skip a match? Sorry?
Well, I don't think so. No, I'm impressed at our efficiency today, actually.
Okay, so quickly want to throw this at you because there were a couple of really good goals, and last week it felt like a little bit of like there weren't too many, but there were a couple here that really jumped out to me. Samudio, Laic, Dembaba, and maybe Mensah. But I also really liked Galatasaray's second goal. Not so much that the goal itself was beautiful, but the organization, the build-up was very nice. For me, goal of the week, definitely Dembaba. Well, what do you guys think?
I'd say Dembaba as well. Very impressive goal.
Yeah. Burak and Jakub, which goal did you like most?
I don't know. The Dembaba one was really good. I do also really like the Laic one. But the Dembaba one is just, it probably is the best one because it's so unbelievable, and the way he doesn't celebrate makes it actually more beautiful because it looks like he's like, yeah, I do this every day.
Swag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burak, what's your pick for the best goal then from all these beauties we've seen this week?
He's gone.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He has some stuff to tend to.
Silently slipped away to take care of
that's
some
fine.
life admin.
That's fine. Jakub, would you mind going over the standings and the fixtures for next week, please?
Yes, of course. So the league table is currently as follows. Number 1, Başakşehir with 52 points. Number 2 and number 3 and number 4 are Trabzonspor, Galatasaray, and Sivasspor, all on the same points, 49 points. Trabzonspor has the game on Wednesday against Malatya, so we might get 3 points and become shared first. Beşiktaş is 5th with 43 points. 6th item is Alanyaspor with 40. Fenerbahçe is 7th with also 40 points. Göztepe is 8th with 34 points. Gaziantep Futbol Kulübü is 9th with 32 points. Denizlispor and Gençlerbirliği are equal on points, 10th and 11th with 28 points. Antalyaspor has 27 points and is 12th. 13th and 14th, Yeni Malatyaspor, Çaykur Rizespor both on 25 points. The relegation zone is getting a little bit tense. Konyaspor and Kasımpaşa both have 23 points. At the moment, with goal difference, Kasımpaşa is 16th and in the relegation zone. Ankaragücü has 20 points and is 17th and bottom of the table. Not that big of a difference in points, to be honest, is Kayserispor with 19 points.
All right, thank you. What about next week's fixtures?
Yes, as for next week's fixtures, so as I said, Wednesday is the game that Trabzonspor is going to play with Malatyaspor. Afterwards, on Friday, you have 2 matches: Ankaragücü against Çaykur Rizespor, Kasımpaşa against Göztepe. Saturday, you have 3 games: Yukatel Denizlispor against Gençlerbirliği, Alanyaspor against Gaziantep. Konyaspor against Fenerbahçe. On Sunday, you have 3 games, and 2 are really, really big games, in my opinion. Kayserispor against Yeni Malatyaspor, Trabzonspor against Başakşehir, so the battle for leadership in the league. And then you have Galatasaray at home against Beşiktaş, which is bound to be a great game. Monday, to end the game week, is Antalyaspor against Sivasspor.
Okay, thank you very much. That'll do it for this week's edition of Football a la Turca. Please head over to patreon.com/vault and check out our bonus content that we will be having coming out regularly from now on. For just $3 a month, you will gain access to an additional VIP exclusive feed. We have an episode up just today previewing Başakşehir's European opponents, FC Copenhagen. We also speak about the fixture and stuff like that. And obviously that match is coming up already on Thursday, and then the return will be a week later. So this week on the 12th of March, the Başakşehir will host Copenhagen, and then on the 19th of March, the return leg will be played in front of an empty stadium. No fans allowed due to the coronavirus, and that's also something that Niklas and I spoke about. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks to Burak Sezgin, of course, who bailed out a little early already, and thank you very much for listening to Football a la Turca.